But this one will be a little different because the thing is just like the talking point. Um, the talking point of like what the Supreme Court is doing right now. And I think that has to be something that has to be looked at, and I think it's cause for concern, really. And I don't think enough people are taking it as a sign of concern. What the Supreme Court is doing, they don't see it as they don't see it as a cause for concern. And what the Supreme Court doing is setting precedents um, that's going to affect the future of this country. So with the Supreme Court doing these things and the rulings that they may decide to administer and they may decide to choose on, it's going to be a it's going to change this country a lot. And I don't think people are understanding it so much, and people don't understand the way of how the political atmosphere works. So they don't visualize the consequences and the actions that changing one policy can cause a ripple effect that continues to, I guess you could say, downgrade and bring down the country. And I don't think enough people are paying attention to that because the thing is there's different things right now that this administration is trying to change. There's different political views because everybody has political views and they're different there. I'm not concerned with that. It was just like people are not gonna fight each other. People talk a lot of talk, but that's not gonna happen. Um, but I think what the Supreme Court is doing is gonna set precedents towards that. Because the thing is you got to remember, right now the Supreme Court is dealing with birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court just made a ruling, just basically stating the Supreme Court just basically made a rule, the Chevron ruling, basically saying that when something happens, the experts in the field will no longer have the ability to make their voices known in that topic or that field. So literally, judges appreciate that. Judges are going to be the ones that are the defining line when it comes to making decisions. But it's interesting because the same administration is trying to fight for making sure that federal judges can't do nationwide injunctions. But then the Supreme Court just basically said that basically judges are going to be the final vote when it comes to, let's say you have a oil spill, right? So when you have an oil spill, usually you have people outside entities, or you would have, let's say, like the EPA would be in charge of managing and deciding like, hey, how much pollution did it do, what damage did it cause, how can we fix this, and how the company that caused the oil spill will fix it. Now they're trying to change it to the fact that the oil spills will not be in the hands of the EPA. It'll be a judge that decides it. So literally, if you have a judge that sides with you or sides with the oil companies, it could be a major oil spill, and that judge can now be like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. It's the oil company's okay. They don't have to do anything about it. And that's it. That's the crazy part of what the Supreme Court is doing, and that's what a lot of people ain't paying attention to. I don't really give a fuck about Diddy getting pardoned, bruh. That's already we already knew that was gonna happen. If Diddy didn't get fucking if he didn't get charged and convicted of the actual crimes he was committing and they gave him the lesser sentence because they only hit him with the lesser charges and didn't find him guilty of the other ones, you already knew that was going to happen. He's not It's not going to change. He's going to do that because the thing is he has to try to make it and manage it so that way when he pardons Diddy, it makes it acceptable to pardon other people that do the same crimes. Because the thing is Diddy is going to be the Like how I like how I was explaining, like the trial and error version. Diddy's gonna be the trial. Diddy's gonna be the one. Like, let's see how crazy these people get. Let's see how mad these people get. Let's see how quickly people forget about me pardoning Diddy. Cause then after that, if you pardon Diddy, yeah, people gonna be mad. But the thing is most of his followers ain't gonna give a fuck. They're gonna be like, oh shit. That's just a way to fucking ease the waters into pardoning pedophiles. You're gonna have so many people that give backlash, but then there's gonna be people that be like, oh, well, Diddy was a great guy. Diddy did so much for the community. You know, those people that are always there. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's an easier way to start easing the notion of pardoning these people. Because then at the same time, then down the road, if you accept Diddy getting pardoned, you're gonna be okay with Ghislaine Maxwell getting pardoned. If you're okay with what Diddy did, no, Diddy didn't get pardoned. It came out from TMZ saying that they got officials saying that Donald Trump is planning to commute Diddy's case. So basically, to not have him serve any more time. So it's an easier way to start pardoning because the thing is, it starts easing it into, yeah, everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, no. Well, that's what is coming out. That's not coming from me. That's coming from TMZ. And you know, TMZ be having people snitch and be having people whistleblowing, and they be getting information from all sorts of places. And they usually don't print something out or say something unless they got the shit. Yeah, Diddy got receipts. It was just like, you don't think, like, people don't realize that the whole reason that Diddy was like, they went and they raided his houses and did all that shit, they were looking for tapes. They were looking for video footage. You notice how they only showed certain things supposedly in the trial, but they didn't show all the shit? Diddy's been doing this for how many years? And you mean to tell me that's all the evidence they showed? Come on now. They showed the evidence of the people that didn't give a fuck. The people that weren't worthy of fucking recognition, that's what it does. Trump loves a Diddy party, shit. LeBron James loves a Diddy party. Remember when LeBron James was like, nobody party, no, there's no party like a Diddy party. It was like, imagine all the people that Diddy got on camera. Diddy was just like, you know what? I'm gonna play this game with y'all. It's the truth. I'm not gonna say. LeBron said it, bro. Don't be mad at me. Don't get mad at me because LeBron said it. LeBron said that shit in broad daylight, full on camera, fucking FaceTime, and I forget who it was, and it was like, ain't no party like a Diddy party. He ain't the only one. He ain't the only one. There's a bunch of people. That's why they don't want to let this list out because there's gonna be people on there. He said that. I didn't. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you the facts. But that's the thing. That's the whole. It's the whole feasibility of being able to say, hey, if we pardon and commute this guy's sentence, because you got to remember, if you commute it, it's not pardoning. The pardoning is two different things. Because the thing is if you commute the sentence, what it basically says is that he still is convicted of it and he still has the crime. The only thing is he's ending his fucking uh sentencing. So the years of the sentence, he's cutting it out. The same way he just did that with the fucking New York politician George Santos. He commuted his time in jail, meaning that George Santos is still convicted of that crime. He's just not going to serve any more time in jail, but he still has that conviction under his name. When you get pardoned, a pardon will remove that conviction. So the thing is that it's basically like, hey, I know what Diddy did. I hung out with Diddy. I'ma just commute his sentence because I know that if he stays in jail for too long, Diddy might get pissed off and start saying names. What's up, Emma? I was like, that's how people don't realize it, but it makes it easier for this administration, and it makes it easier for them to start easing it, to start making pedophiles not look so bad. Look how concerned they are with the Epstein files. Look at how concerned these Republicans are that they are doing press conferences every day to tell you that the Epstein list is bullshit. There's no Epstein list. Oh, he's not in the files. It was like these people are doing more to try to hide these files than actually do their actual job. Because they know the people that's in there are people of power. And a lot of those people are probably people that help them get into those political seats. Those donors, that lobbying is basically those people, that put that money in there. They don't want to expose that because then that means shit. I ain't got people to fund my next campaign. Like, take Mike Johnson, for instance. Mike Johnson ran and he campaigned and made $19 million. $19 million for his campaign to run for fucking a representative of Louisiana. Yet 4 million of that came from the state of Louisiana. 15 million came from outside of the state of Louisiana. So $15 million came from other people that wanted him to win. And you don't think those people would be on the list? You would want to protect those people too, right? If they gave you $15 million to make sure you won your seat, you gonna protect them too. And that's why Mike Johnson is trying to play the fucking fool, and he keeps on coming with a different lie every single, like, the fact that you got to come up with a lie every single fucking day to try to change the tune, but you still ain't coming up to shit. It's crazy. It's just crazy to see that. It's crazy to have that thought process. And that's the crazy about it. That's what people don't realize. Imagine you went on a campaign trail and your own state only gave you $4 million, but you made 19 million in total. And 15 million was from people that don't even live in fucking Louisiana. It's all a gimmick. All these people are show hosts. All these people are new Fox News show hosts. Or they worked in television because they used to fucking just talking bullshit and reading off a prompter. They're used to reading off a script. They're used to not having people actually question them. That's why Caroline Levitt be losing her shit. That's the easiest way. Caroline Levitt was not one of those Fox News hosts. All these other, you notice everybody in all these other positions doesn't really take many questions. She's the only one that takes a bunch of questions, and she's the only one that gets pissed the fuck off. Because she's like, damn, I gotta keep lying to these fucking people. And these people are fucking annoying because they ask me good fucking questions that I gotta just blame Biden or somebody else on. But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. The commute, Diddy's fucking sentencing is basically telling Diddy, hey man, we gonna let you out. But the thing is the reason why I don't think it's gonna be pardoned is because of the fact that if Diddy tries to act up, it'd be like, hey bro, you already got convicted of this. Well, you got commuted, but if you get caught again, we gonna put you in jail for a longer time. That's the difference between the pardon and the commute. Because the thing is it still holds on to Diddy like, hey, Diddy, I know you got some shit on us, but if you want to act a fool, we going to throw you in jail. And this time you going to have that last case to be used against you. And you got to realize that a lot of the times when it comes to these, I'm not going to say witch hunt, because that's a Trump term, but it's a witch hunt towards these people when these people try to do something that goes against the grain. Diddy was suing the biggest liquor company in the world. They didn't like that. So they tried to go after Diddy. But they forgot that Diddy throws those Diddy parties. So there's a lot of people in those Diddy files. Diddy got files too. The same way Trump got files, Epstein got files. All these people got files because they've been doing this for some time. Diddy's been doing this for decades, having those parties. Same way Epstein was doing it for decades. You're not gonna tell me that they just started doing this last year or 2 years ago. They've been doing this for decades. Diddy Diddy has been on this since what? After you notice how Biggie died and Diddy just became the face of the fucking black community. Y'all didn't notice that? And then all of a sudden it was Diddy this, Diddy that. You had Sean John. Sean John blew up. Then he started having these parties. You started seeing Diddy everywhere. Diddy was a rapper. Diddy was a producer. He wasn't even all that. And then all of a sudden he had Bad Boy Records and he made all this money off of somebody else's music. And then he became like, come on now. Sony camera. I'm on a Sony camera. But that's the thing that people don't realize. That's what I'm saying. It's an easier way to commute it to start relieving the stress that these people, because look at what Ted Cruz says. What did Ted Cruz say? We need to stop attacking the pedophiles. He didn't even fix himself when he said that. He didn't slip up. He said we need to stop attacking pedophiles. He didn't slip. He didn't be like, no, I meant to say you, because if you say some shit like that, you would catch yourself and be like, oh shit, no. What I meant to say is we need to stop like attacking them, but we should be condemning them. You could have said that, but he didn't say that. Because they want you to start thinking like, yo, it's not that, like, they did terrible things, but we need to let them go. We need to, now all of a sudden, we need to be Christians. Now all of a sudden, we got to be Christian-like. We got to forgive their sins. Bitch, if you don't get out my face with your fucking dumbass shit, that's all it is. They just trying to ease it so that way when they all fucking start coming out, people ain't attacking them. People ain't going after them. That's all it is. Because the thing is to tell me that Diddy did all that stuff and you have video evidence, you have the evidence, and he only got 4 years? 4 years? Emma, you know I'm right. You know that's what they're going to try to be like, oh, you need to be good Christians and not judge him for his errors and his past sins. He paid his dues. He paid his... Shut the fuck up. I don't give a fuck. You a pedophile, you a pedophile. That's what they're going to fucking do, and that's what they're trying to do. Because the thing is if you start now this year, then the next thing is the next person that they find, they're going to be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Look at what Diddy did. Diddy only got 4 years. This guy didn't even do it as bad. We should only give him 2 years. And then it goes, oh, we gonna be, no, you know what? They don't even need, you know what? We just gonna give them community service. Or we gonna give him the Epstein where he only goes to jail on the weekends. But we gonna let him continue to be a pedophile throughout the week. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. It's just a continuation just to make it simpler. But that's the thing. It's the same thing as just like, that's what it is. If you commute Diddy's fucking sentence, you basically saying that, hey, he broke the law, he was trafficking, did this, but he don't deserve to stay in jail. Now, if Donald Trump does that, and like I said, if Donald Trump does it, it still won't matter because of the fact that all these piece of shit fucking MAGA and dumbass supporters of his will be okay with it. They gonna swallow some more nuts like they've been swallowing. That's the only thing. They gonna continue to swallow nuts the whole fucking time. The whole fucking time. Because if you don't have a problem with the Epstein list not coming out, you're not gonna have a problem with pedophiles not going to jail. Plain and simple. It's plain and simple. That's as easy as it's going to be and as easy as it's going to be shown. That if they don't have a problem with Diddy, they're not going to have a problem with anybody else that's in the files. So then basically you're going to make it that, oh, Basically, they gonna make it so that way they emphasize the fact that, oh, whoever's on these files, they weren't that bad. Because remember, Republicans are supposedly trying to protect the victims, but even the victims said to release the fucking list. So no, you just trying to protect the people that's in there. Because the thing is if there's no incriminating evidence of the people's names that are in there, they shouldn't have a fucking worry. If your name is on the Epstein list because you contacted them one time, never hung out with them after that, people ain't gonna be mad at you. It was like, hey, maybe you met up with the dude and you realized, damn, bro, this is not a person I should be fucking holding on to or talking to or associating with. And then you dipped out. People ain't gonna be mad at you. People ain't gonna be mad at you. Who's gonna be mad at you? Your name just showed up on the file. Oh, you were on a call log. You had a phone call with him. That's the only time you spoke to the dude. All right, I'm cool with that. That means you probably found out what he was or what he was about or what he did, and you decided, you know what, this is a person I'm not going to be around. But if your name is constantly on the list that you went to the flight, you went to the island, you met up with him for lunch, you met up with him with this, you were his next door neighbor, you purchased shit from him, bro, you incriminating yourself. There's no, I fucking hung out with this dude and I didn't know what he did type shit. I'm sorry. You don't know somebody for decades? You ain't best friends with somebody for decades and don't know they're a fucking child trafficker. I'm sorry. You're not gonna run that bullshit. I know people live secret lives, but when you hanging out with them, partying with them at their own private island, nah, bro, we ain't believing that shit. Motherfuckers just have amnesia all of a sudden. All of a sudden, all these people are gonna be deranged and don't know what the fuck they talking about and all this stuff. Because look at what these representatives is doing. These representatives are dealing with a government shutdown, but they're making press conferences about the fucking Epstein files. If that doesn't fucking tell you enough, if that doesn't tell you enough that the government is shut down right now, y'all ain't even fucking worrying about anything else, but you have a press conference talk about the Epstein files? There's nothing incriminating in the files, so then why the fuck can't you release them? I already blocked them. Don't worry about it. It's always the same ones who's just like, oh my God. It was just like, where do you come up with this shit? I was just like, yeah, that's why Trump didn't release him in 2019 when Epstein was convicted and he offed himself. If you don't got nothing incriminating in there, you should be able to release. Like, why would you hide files? That's like you being investigated like for tax fraud, right? Just a example, right? Let's just take this example. Let's say you're being investigated by tax fraud. Wouldn't that be the reason why you don't want to show your taxes? Ain't nobody think about it that way, huh? Damn, Donald Trump didn't want to show his taxes and his tax records and his tax forms. Because why? He was committing fraud. And he got convicted for the fraud. You notice how the tax files got released and all of a sudden they had the grounds to convict him and charge him? It's the same thing here. We're gonna keep hiding these files till we can find a way to make it that this man don't get in trouble. Because remember, he can already be pardoned and cannot be charged with anything that is associated while he is the president. But this happened before he was president. So there's no way around that. The Supreme Court said you ain't gonna get in trouble if you do something as a presidential act. But there's nothing that says you won't get in trouble for anything before you were president or after you're president. He's gotten plenty of shit. But the thing is like, look, he got convicted of fraud. Why do you think this man was so adamant about not showing his tax records? This man went years making sure his tax records didn't get released. And then once he got released, what happened? New York had the ability to fucking charge him. That's not a fucking witch hunt. That's not a coincidence. That's him knowing that once people get to audit his shit, it was like, damn, bro, you were lying your fucking ass off. So you made all these millions after all these years because you were lying the whole fucking time. That's how you made it to where you made it. But then you also had connections with people that was probably blackmailing, and that's how you got some more. He was sentenced. They just commuted his fucking sentencing because of the fact that he's the president now. And now, yeah, imagine that you want to get paid $230 million for the trials that you actually got convicted on. What are you getting paid for? You're a 34-time convicted felon. And the biggest excuse is, look, this is the biggest excuse that everybody wants to say. All the real estate people be like, oh my God, real estate, everybody does this. Everybody does this in real estate, right? Everybody does this in real estate. Then why'd he get caught? Why was Donald Trump the one that got caught? There we go. We got our guest appearance again. He knew I was streaming. He still don't want to talk to y'all. Imagine dealing with people that don't know how to use their own phones. Imagine that. Imagine dealing with people that don't know how to use their phones because they act like, oh my God, I can't hear them. They were just like, yeah, stupidity can't hear me. I understand that. Ignorance can't either. When you dumb, you stupid, you can't listen to anything I'm saying because you won't understand it. It just goes over your head the whole time. It's okay though. It's okay. I understand. I understand. It was just like, you got convicted, right? The man got convicted. You got convicted for what he did. There's no way around that. You don't go to court and a whole court can find you guilty because they actually have the evidence to find you guilty. How you get, nobody goes to court, especially a person that's a fucking billionaire that can pay for top fucking lawyers. And you mean to tell me that after all the millions he spent on these lawyers, they still couldn't prove he was innocent? So you blaming what, the judges for doing their job and not the fucking shit ass lawyers that couldn't prove his innocence? That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy, right? It's always the same gimmick. They always use the same gimmick. These people always use the same gimmick, the same nonsense to try to portray like this dude didn't commit the crime. It was just like he committed the crime. It was proven. It was no witch hunt. It was just the fact that they actually caught him because he released his tax files. Once you start seeing, if you get audited by the fucking IRS and they say you owed money or you lied about your shit, you're gonna probably go to jail. Even if you have the best lawyer, you're still gonna get convicted of breaking the law. It was like you trying to defend somebody that was breaking the law. Ain't that crazy? It's crazy how you want to defend somebody that was breaking the law, but then supposedly y'all mad at undocumented immigrants because they supposedly broke the law. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Don't y'all find that hypocritical? Don't y'all find that to be absurd? Don't y'all find that to be fucking downright stupid? Don't y'all find that to be so fucking nut swallowing that y'all just swallowing nuts, listening and believing the bullshit? Like, come on now. You mad at illegal immigrants for breaking the law and coming into the country, but you okay with the president breaking the law and not paying taxes? Mind you, the man went ahead and gave himself a tax cut while he was at it. So you gave yourself a tax cut. You gave yourself a tax cut while you weren't paying the taxes you were supposed to pay. Then you got convicted for lying about not paying your taxes. But that's the Democrats' fault. No, that's your dumbass fault. Because I want you to try the same shit. I want you to lie on your taxes. I want MAGA to lie on this tax season, this upcoming tax season. We not that far. Lie about your taxes. Go ahead and lie about your taxes. Lie about your taxes. That's all I'm asking y'all to do. And see what's gonna happen to y'all when you can't afford the lawyers Donald Trump did, and see what they gonna do to you when they start repossessing your shit. Clear as day. Y'all can't even see him. He's so black. What's your boy? You tired? Go see, boy. But that's the thing. That's the idiot. That's the stupidity of it. But the ability for these people. Exactly. Look, he's there now. All you see is the orange. You see him? You can see the orange. He's been there the whole time. But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about it. Because then the thing is look, if you were okay with Donald Trump being a 34 count convicted felon, you're gonna be okay with Diddy being commuted. You're gonna be okay with Diddy being pardoned. You even gonna be okay with just Lane Maxwell being pardoned. Because you're not gonna go from a maximum. Nobody ever gets moved from a maximum fucking security prison to a minimum security prison for shits and giggles. That was part of the deal. So now you need to start lowering the standards so that when you do it for her right before you get out of office or you pass away, you could just be like, hey, she's clear. That's the main thing about it. And that's what a lot of people ain't paying attention. And that's the same thing with the what you want, boy. I'm already petting you, boy. This dude really wants to be pet today. I was just like, but that's the thing about it. Most people are not gonna understand that. Most people don't see it. And then the thing is you can see that the Supreme Court SCOTUS is fucking criminalized already. But most people ain't paying attention to the shit they doing. The funniest thing is how Republicans, right? This is the ignorance of MAGA, right? You see how they trying to change the Second Amendment now? But most Republicans in MAGA be like, no, that's not happening. It was like the Supreme Court is hearing a case basically on if the right to have a firearm should be removed if you're a marijuana user. But most Republicans don't know about that. Most MAGA don't know about that. Most of the time, most of the time, MAGA doesn't pay attention or know what fucking SCOTUS is. And SCOTUS needs to realize that Well, not SCOTUS, because SCOTUS is gonna vote and say whatever the fuck they decide to. But that's gonna be a major thing, because the thing is if you are infringing on the Second Amendment right because somebody smokes weed, hmm, what do you think that's gonna lead to? Because this is the thought process that most ignorant MAGA don't have. If they have the ability, because they've set precedents now, to allow a restriction on the Second Amendment because of your personal use, then what stops them to change it afterwards to alcohol use or prescribed medication, or the fact that they can just deem the fact that you aren't fit to have a weapon? Because you know why? I say that. That's the thing, Annie. They're not gonna start. I think that's the case. Is it Reese versus ATF? I think that's the case where basically, because the thing is you have to start with something that not everybody agrees with. Most of MAGA, most Republican conservatives have a problem with gardening. They have a problem with gardening. They dislike gardening. They hate it to the fullest. So when you start saying, hey, we're going to go after the people that garden a lot, they're not concerned because it's not going to affect them. But you know how MAGA is. MAGA only cares when it affects them. But when you allow the Second Amendment to be amended in a way where it's going to infringe on somebody's right to own a weapon, you can say, hey, well, you're a gardener, you can't have a weapon. And then when they start stripping those people, then the next people can be like, you know what? You're deemed an alcoholic. If you've been deemed an alcoholic, that means you shouldn't have a firearm either. What's stopping them after that? Because the thing is you allowed them to infringe on the rights in the first place. Once you allow them to infringe on the rights, then it's them just making policies to change it so that they can infringe some more. And then from there, you just continue down the road. Then you start nitpicking. Then you can become like, oh my God, you voted Democrat? You can't have a weapon. Or it can be the other way around, where a Democratic president takes over and he can be like, oh my God, you voted for MAGA? You're not fit to own a weapon. Because the thing is you're not going to tell me that Republicans are just going to always be in office. It's not going to be that way. No matter how much they want to push it, no matter how much they want to say, they're not always going to be in office. But then if you set and allow all these things to happen because it's by law designed that way, then whatever the next president does can be an even more radical person. You can have a radical president that comes in after Trump and decides, you know what? I'm tired of school violence. I'm tired of school violence. So we're not going to sell these weapons anymore. What's going to happen then? You were okay with people that, you know, garden getting it taken away. So now you mad that because you drink, they taking yours away? What's going to stop them? You allowed them to start the first part. That's why it's funny that all these don't tread on me people don't pay attention to it, because by the time they pay attention, this shit is already done with. This case is supposed to be heard in the spring. See, and that's the thing. Everybody's like, can't do it. Second Amendment. If you can infringe somebody's rights because they are a marijuana user, you can infringe the rights then after on anything they choose because they have made the policy allowable. So you can say can't do it Second Amendment, but if you already infringing on marijuana users that they can't do it, if that's if the Supreme Court allows it. But the way the Supreme Court is going, the Supreme Court ain't going against anything Trump says. And if Trump is the one that's pushing for this, you think it's going to stop? That's the thing. The thing is that MAGA and people that don't know politics and don't know how the law works don't know what precedence means. They don't understand that when you make something beforehand, that's what the ruling is and that's what they go off of. They don't understand the precedence of like Roe v. Wade, where abortion was okay across the country. And then what happened? They overturned the Roe v. Wade law. And then it became a state law. And look at how Texas is now trying to persecute people for getting abortions. They're even trying to persecute people that get information or medication from other states and persecute state doctors from other states without their jurisdiction. But people don't associate that because it's just like, oh, they can't do it. By law, they will be able to. Because the crazy thing is this administration is going after gardeners, people that use marijuana. That's what the administration is planning to go against. But they don't, again, you haven't seen them go against people with mental health disorders. Even though they shouldn't be owning weapons, but there's no state law that says they can't have it. Executive orders are not laws, but the law is in place allowing in the amendment to no infringement because of the Second Amendment. But when the Second Amendment law gets basically questioned, which is what this administration has been doing with a lot of the laws, they are questioning the validity of a lot of these laws. They question the validity of Roe v. Wade. They question the validity of a federal judge putting a national injunction on something that was deemed unconstitutional. But people don't pay attention to it like that. People ain't paying attention to the fact that they are questioning the constitutionality of it. Look at birthright citizenship. That's an amendment. That's in law. And they're questioning that. But most people don't pay attention to that because the thing is they don't concern themselves because it's like, I'm American. I don't have to worry about birthright citizenship. But if you allowing them to tear down other amendments, you think they're gonna stop there? You think they're gonna stop at the 14th? You don't think they're gonna go after the second, where they know that's the one that can cause them the most backlash? We gotta start somewhere. Because nowhere have you seen that a person that gardens and owns a weapon is worse than a person that drinks alcohol and has a weapon. But the thing is this is the difference also. With gardening, it's not legal everywhere. You notice how the red conservative states, a lot of them don't allow it? You ain't noticed that? What gets sold in the whole country? Alcohol gets sold everywhere. That's a $1 trillion industry within itself. You're not going to hurt an industry that barely has legalization across the country. But if you say, oh, alcohol users are going to be taking their gun rights, if you've been put into a clinic and the clinic has deemed you an alcoholic, we're going to deem you unsafe to have a weapon. Now, how many people after a long day's work don't like to have a drink? I'm not saying many drinks, but how many don't? Tell that to the military. How you gonna work that one? Talk about you can't own a weapon. That's the thing that people don't understand. That's why MAGA is always being disillusioned and being thrown off the scent of what they're doing because it doesn't get publicized. Most people didn't hear about the Supreme Court Act hearing that fucking case on marijuana use and not being allowed to own a weapon. Because the thing is if you start making that loud enough, MAGA, the Don't Tread on Me group should be loud and upfront there. They should be the first ones loud and upfront there. Because that's infringing on the Second Amendment right. And a lot of them probably do garden also. So imagine being told that because you garden, you can't have a weapon. It was just like, it's a good thing to get rid of people. No, that's a Second Amendment right. That's the right everyone had, right? So you want this to get rid of this, but then you ain't paying attention that allows them to get rid of other things. That's the reason why paying attention to the Supreme Court is the thing. The highest court in the land is making decisions that are influencing you, your family, and your future generations. But you hear more concern with the Epstein files, which is a valid reason, but that's a distraction too. That's the biggest distraction they got. That's the biggest distraction they got to fucking make you forget and not pay attention to everything else the Supreme Court is doing, this administration is doing. Because look at all the hearings that have been happening. How much publicity has that gotten? You haven't heard much about all the shit going on through the Supreme Court, have you? But you definitely have a press conference while the government is shut down about the Epstein files. You definitely have a press conference on how to blame the Democrats for not doing their job, even though you canceled and shut down the House, which can still do their job for a whole week because you didn't want to fucking certify somebody's election. But then the Supreme Court is still hearing cases. Shit. In the past 3 decades, when I've actually known what the Supreme Court was, I never heard the Supreme Court work so fucking hard. It would take months to get a fucking Supreme Court case of anything to be seen. These motherfuckers is taking shit like it's fucking a weekly thing. These motherfuckers is actually getting paid to do their job. Know how crazy that is? All these people have that stuff, but the thing is people ain't paying attention to the Supreme Court. If you a gardener right now and you own a weapon, are you okay with taking your weapon away? That's what I got. That's a question for MAGA. That's just a question for MAGA. Because MAGA's the one that says they're the ones with the weapons. Nobody's going to infringe on their Second Amendment right. So you should be the loudest ones. I'm sorry. You should be the loudest ones right now. But the thing is you don't pay attention to politics unless Donald Trump or somebody in the administration tells you something. And by then, the case is going to be heard in the beginning of next year with a sentencing or a case verdict by summertime of next year. And if you don't think that they already planning with a win on that when they've been doing that the whole time, it's like I just want to see it because the thing is there's a whole bunch of MAGA that gardens too. A bunch of them garden. So imagine them trying to go and purchase a weapon and be like, oh, you need to give us a blood test to see if you have gardening in your system. Because we need a track to see if you are a garden user. So if you do gardening and you pop hot for gardening, well, you can't purchase a weapon. What's the thought on that? You notice how they quiet on this. These are the subjects that they don't want to talk about because they know they don't have anything valid to say. Because the thing is you're a hypocrite now. The thing is Donald Trump ain't trying to push this out to the mass media for them to see. Because then the thing is a lot of his followers are going to be like, bro, we don't agree with this. It was like, I don't care if these people are gardeners. I want my weapons. That's my Second Amendment right. You know how they be like, it's my God given right, even though God didn't make the weapon. And he sure as hell didn't sell Jesus back with one. You're less, look, the violent offenses that happen because of gardening and weapons is nowhere near the amount of gardening, or is nowhere near the amount of being a drinker with a weapon. Nowhere near. So that's the whole to it. That's the whole thing. The Supreme Court doing that and people not paying attention to it is the ignorance of most people. Because most people ain't paying attention what they doing. These people are telling you what they trying to do. Pam Bondi has been against the Second Amendment most of her fucking career. So it's not just gonna be that you the district attorney and you just happen to forget that you don't like the Second Amendment. But you allow presidents to do it. It's the same way. Because the thing is, before, what, like the example of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court heard it. Before the Supreme Court, no state could try to criminalize you getting an abortion. After that was dismissed, you saw how states started pushing like a criminalization of this, criminalization of that. Now, the same thing with the Second Amendment. If it's a criminal act to be gardening and own a weapon, what's next? Because look at how far Texas has gone. Like I said, you set the precedent of allowing them to do that, and Texas just keeps pushing the boundary. The mortality rate is gone down in fucking Texas because of it. There's been more women's deaths because of the fact that they wouldn't be able to get an abortion. But that was allowed. Why? Because the Supreme Court said this cannot be the law of the land. It's not the law of the land anymore, where it was okay for a woman to have an abortion and they weren't going to be persecuted for it. Imagine you choosing between your life and a child's life, and if you choose your life, you go to jail. Imagine that. And Texas says that's okay with us. Every other state don't agree with it. But when you make it a law of the land, like an amendment, and you change the amendment to try to make it to suit your needs, to try to infringe on people's rights when the whole point is to not infringe on people's rights, then the thing is it becomes a slippery slope of what else can I add? Because remember, these people don't like their enemies, right? But the thing is like I said, this can happen under Donald Trump where they do all these changes, right? And then maybe a Democrat wins. And a Democrat is anti guns, anti weapons. And he decides, you know what? I don't want anybody to have weapons. Because if you can garden, if you can't garden, you shouldn't be able to drink. If you got a domestic issue, you shouldn't be doing that. If you got mental health issues, you shouldn't be doing that. If you don't make enough money, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. If you poor, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. Imagine that as a law. That's just as a hypothetical. That's just taking it to the extreme. But the thing is if you're gonna stop people that garden that are nowhere near as dangerous as somebody as alcohol, everybody's upset about the gardening part, but people ain't paying attention to the fact that once you stop the ability of gardening, you can stop the ability of other things associated with it. And people don't like to hear that. People don't like to hear that, oh, they're gonna have their stuff taken away. Nobody wants to hear that. But the thing is if you ain't paying attention to it, it's easy to do. Because look, most people haven't heard about the fact that they're trying to get rid of birthright citizenship. It was like these laws have been in place and were put in place for a reason. And this administration believes that a lot of these laws and things that are in place aren't necessary or aren't deemed useful. Like the fact that you want to take away the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and keep on removing the stuff about it. Like, oh, the majority district, and I forget which state it is, I think it's in Texas or whatever state that's arguing that, is just like, hey, we have a bigger population of black people, so we should have the representation for that amount of black people. But when the district is being changed, we don't get more representation. So this administration is trying to say that it shouldn't be by race. But then if it's by population and the vote, you still trying to change it because you know that certain demographic tends to vote a certain way. So you're trying to manipulate it in a non-racist way of saying, hey, we're going to change the district, but it's not because of the demographic of the district. It's because they voted this way. If you know a certain group always, it's just like that's the interesting part about it. That's the influence that these people have, but you have the stupidity of people like this dude I just blocked that just comes in and just like be ignorant. It's okay. The ignorant people in the crowd right now are the ones that are gonna be hurting the most. Not my concern. That's not my worry. If you ignorant enough that you ain't paying attention to all the changes and all the outcomes that are not benefiting you, that's your problem. That's not my problem. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not going to be concerned. But always having something to say, but don't pay attention to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to keep making changes. Don't pay attention to all this administration is doing to try to change the law that's already been in place. And some of these laws have been in place for decades. And they're trying to circumvent them by trying to remove them or trying to change them to say that they're not useful anymore. You're not going to tell me that it's not useful anymore to have representation off of your race when you are part of the population. I got rid of them, Jace. Don't worry. I don't deal with the stupidity. When stupid people come in, I just block them. Sometimes if I'm in an argumentative mood and they want to come up and they want to talk, I'll allow them. But if they just want to be stupid, I'll just block people. It was like, go be ignorant and go nut swallow somebody else. Go nut swallow the rest of your MAGA community that isn't aware of what the fuck is going on, is oblivious to the shit going on, is oblivious to the fact that, oh, money is being spent in other countries before money is being spent in our own country. We don't have the money to take care of people on SNAP benefits. But we want you to have more kids. We don't want you to have the money if you don't have the money to make sure you can feed these kids. But we want you to have more kids. We don't want to provide for them. We just want you to have more kids. We know you can't afford them because, the price of everything to do with babies and kids is astronomically climbing. We're not going to help you with that, though. You know what? We'll give you $1,000. That sound good? $1,000? $1,000 if you have a kid? You good, Vegas. You good. Don't worry about it. I'm just today, Vegas today, I'm just blocking people. I'm just blocking people today. Yesterday I was in an argumentative mood. Yesterday I was in an argumentative mood. Today, I'm not with the stupid shit. I'm trying to have a relaxed day. I was just like, damn, People mad at people that's on SNAP benefits, but then don't realize that most of not Amazon, most of Walmart's workers are on SNAP benefits. They got jobs. It costs more than 800K to raise a kid. It costs more than that. Shit, 1K wouldn't even pay for the fucking ambulance ride if you took an ambulance to get to the hospital. If you were in such in pain that you had to take an ambulance to get to the fucking hospital, that 1K gone. Gone already. You haven't even had the kid yet. The 1K is gone. Shit, you get an epidural. You get remember? But remember what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said to tough it out. You don't need Tylenol, right? You don't need a fever for it. You gonna get $1,000 to be in fucking $10,000 debt after the fucking birth. And Michael's like, yeah, this sounds great. This sounds fucking great. Like, come on, man. $1,000 in these days? If you would say $10,000, people would probably jump on it and they still be broke. See, Caddy, I forgot about that. I'm not trying to exclude kids with disabilities either. But remember the funding for them is also going out the window. So you're not gonna spend the money to take care of the kids. You're not gonna make sure that the kids have adequate to eat. You don't want the kids to have free school lunches, but you want more kids to be born. That's a crazy way of looking at it. You don't want to feed them. You don't want to make sure the family can afford to take care of them. You don't want to you want to make a list of all autistic kids, but then you want more kids. But you're not providing anything to do that. You're not providing anything to take care of the kids. You just want people to have more kids. But every structure that has been put in to take care of those kids after birth comes from the Democratic Party. And all those things get removed by the Republican Party because they want the family to take care of itself. But then the benefits and the resources to take care of the kids, Republicans remove. Republicans had a problem with Head Start. Y'all remember when Michelle Obama was trying to make what was it, the Fit 60 or the Play 60 to make sure kids were being more active and running around and being more active so that they weren't getting obese because, we were having an obesity issue? Who had a problem with that? I, Emma. I was just like, Michelle Obama was a problem because she was trying to make kids healthier. And the Republicans threw a fucking fit. It's the same shit. Republicans continue to try to portray the fact that they want more families, they want more stuff, but then you're criminalizing the fact that if a woman needs an abortion because they can't afford the kid, or that $1,000 is not going to support them, we're going to put you in jail. Imagine that. Oh, and did you hear about what the Supreme Court also did? Now that it's okay to jail somebody if they're homeless? Did y'all hear about that? Yeah, you didn't hear about that, did y'all? I think that happened yesterday when they determined that it was okay to arrest somebody because they're homeless, even though they don't got nowhere to go. The crazy thing about it is that MAGA goes through the same issue where their kids probably don't get enough to eat unless their school pays for it. But then they have a problem for paying the school, even though their dumbasses don't realize that the property tax that they're paying from wherever they're living, whether it's a trailer home or a house or a big ass mansion, that property tax is used to sponsor and fund the district schools. And those district schools decide where the money goes to. And then the federal Department of Education assists those schools that doesn't make enough money in the towns and neighborhoods that don't make enough and pay enough in property taxes. Oh, but that's the thing, Twisted. That's what makes it easier. If I criminalize you being homeless, knowing that I'm making it so that it's impossible to buy a home, and it's unaffordable to continue to stay in the home, that means I got a free workforce by filling up the jails. You think that they just filling up these jails supposedly for all these illegal undocumented? No. They trying to refill the you're not gonna tell me that so many people supposedly flooded the United States during the Biden administration. Because they said what the number was. It was like what, 11 million, I think they said. Now all of a sudden they up to like 25 million. The number keeps on expanding every time they mention it. More and more. More people came in. More people came in. It was just like you had the stats. But somehow more people came in even though you had these stats. So it's like that's telling enough. And every prison system, every prison corporation is just happy to get more sales, more stuff. It's just like you just trying to build up the thing because you gonna need a workforce. That's what you gonna need. Yeah, that's all it is, but people ain't paying attention to it. All that stuff adds up. You have to start adding all that shit together. Because the thing is most people don't connect all those dots. They ain't going to arrest 100 million. They ain't trying to arrest 100 million. With a couple, like with 3 million people arrested, that continues the slave labor of the prison, where they get free fucking building. They can fucking make people make shit in the prison for a lesser price and not pay them anything while in jail, meaning a corporation makes all that profit because they ain't paying the actual workers for it. It's just bro, it's the same process, just changed and named differently. That's all it is. Stop moving the camera, boy. Damn. Stay there. I don't know if y'all can hear the purrs. Probably too low. And that's what it is. People don't realize it, and they don't want to pay attention to it, and they don't want to pay attention to the things that are actually making changes in this country. Donald Trump isn't doing anything to fulfill the country. Donald Trump is not exercising anything with all the power and all the money that they have, that they show you they've had. Because look at all the money they've been spending. Look at all the billions of dollars we're supposedly getting in tariffs. Why isn't that money going to anything useful? We're making so many billions in tariffs. Where are we sending the money to? Oh, yeah, we're sending it to Argentina. So we're making us pay as taxpayers more money, but then we're sending it to Argentina. We're not fixing the SNAP benefits. Corporations have that extended fucking tax cut and they're not raising wages. but the prices of all their items are going up. I know we don't get money from tariffs, Maze, but that's the stupidity of a lot of MAGA that they actually believe that they're doing so. But that's just the thing for today. That's all I wanted to touch on was the whole pay attention to what the Supreme Court is doing because they are changing laws and people ain't paying attention to what's going on with them. The no taxation with representation is a fraud. When you go to work, taxes getting taken out. How you gonna stop paying taxes? Your paycheck takes them out. So unless you ain't working, you still gonna pay taxes. Plain and simple. Nah, the farmers didn't know any better because they were stupid enough to vote for the same shit again. Fucking Joe Biden bailed them out, but you didn't hear them praising Joe Biden for bailing them out. You didn't hear farmers praising him for fucking helping them out there. All they said was, "Oh, Joe Biden is old. He don't know what he's doing." But you didn't hear them praising anything when he was the one that bailed them out after Donald Trump fucked them over. You ain't hear no Republicans praising the fucking Biden administration when they helped them. Racism is expensive. It's okay, not my problem, not my farm. I just hope I get enough money to buy the farm. That's what I'm looking at. So don't worry, I'll take care of your shit. You couldn't no more. I'll take care of it. Don't worry, I got you. I'll bail you out. I'll give you a quarter of the price for what you want. They knew all about the tariffs. That's why they weren't happy about it, but they voted for it. So good for them. Hopefully they figure it out in the streets while being homeless and then getting arrested for it. You see how that works? See how great that works? See how making America great again works in their favor? But yeah, it's okay. That's all I got for today, y'all. Today ain't gonna be a long one. I was just paying attention to what the Supreme Court did and all the Supreme Court changes and shit like that. That's why I say you gotta pay attention. Especially MAGA, because MAGA's the ignorant one that don't pay attention to shit. So but that's all I have for today. Today's gonna be a short one. We are not going to be going live um tomorrow night. Tonight we ain't going live. Um got some shit I gotta do early in the morning following day. So no lives for tomorrow. Today was just a short one, but like I said, pay attention to the shit going on. Pay attention to the shit that they're not talking about. Pay attention to the shit that this administration is trying to pull the rug under so many people because they're paying attention to stupid shit. That's what you got to make sure you're doing. Pay attention to that. Because they're giving you all this bullshit. They're giving you the government shutdown. They're giving you the blaming of this. They're giving you the Epstein files. They're giving you fucking the radical left. They're giving you fucking Caroline Levitt talking nonsense. Why? To fucking take you away from the fact that they still making changes under a government shutdown, but they're saying they're not working because the government is shut down. Until we don't decide to stop these people from doing this shit, gotta stop feeding the monster, like I said. Stop feeding the monster, because if you're feeding these corporations that's getting these tax cuts, these corporations are the same ones that are putting money into the politicians' pockets to change these things. Stop feeding the monster. That's what we gotta do. Make it a hashtag. Stop feeding the monster. That's it. Y'all have a good one. And as always, be good to one another. Take care of one another. Look out for one another. Love one another. Stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. I'm just Cruz. Pleasure as always. Thank y'all. Y'all have a rest of y'all day. Peace.